You know, when you think about how great cities get started, you probably picture kings, right? Grand plans, royal decrees. But the city we're talking about today, its story is completely different. It was born from the ashes of a fallen empire. We're diving into the story of Ibadan, and it all starts with one legendary warrior, a man named Lagulu.
Okay, so let's just get right to the heart of it with this powerful statement. Abadan was not built by kings. I mean, right there, that just throws out the rule book for how you think a major city is founded. It sets the stage for something way more raw, way more intense.
And the second part? Wow. It was built by blood, bravery, and battle. Think about that. The very DNA of this city isn't about royalty or politics. Nope. It's about grit, determination, and the will of warriors. This is a story forged in fire.
So if kings didn't build it, who did? Who was the architect here? Well, it all comes down to one man. Long before Ibadan was even a dream, there was the warrior, Lagelu. He's really the anchor for this whole thing. All right, so who was this guy, Lagelu? Let's dig in.
I mean, you don't even need to know anything else. His name says it all. Lagelu. It literally translates to owner of heavy weaponry. And you have to remember, back then, your name was your brand. It was your reputation. So his name told you everything you needed to know. It wasn't just a name, it was a flat-out warning.
And believe me, he had the skills to back that name up. This guy was a feared warrior, a top military commander in the incredible Old Oyo Empire. We're not talking about some random soldier here. Lagelu was a pillar of the empire's military might, genuinely one of the most powerful fighters of his entire era.
But you know how it goes. Even the mightiest empires can fall. And when the Old Oyo Empire started to crumble, it wasn't just a minor setback. It was a cataclysmic event that would change absolutely everything for Lagelu and everyone he knew.
So how does a superpower like that just fall apart? Well, it wasn't one thing. It was basically the perfect storm. You had internal conflicts ripping it apart from the inside. You had betrayals at the highest levels of leadership, and then on top of all that, you had constant invasions from the outside. A total nightmare.
And the fallout from this collapse, it was fast and it was brutal. First thing to go, the leadership. It just vanished. Kings fell.
And with no one in charge, what happens? Total chaos. The great cities of the empire, they burned.
And then, the one thing Lagelu knew best, the military, it just disintegrated. The warriors scattered. Just try to picture that for a second. Your entire world just turned upside down. No leaders, no homes, no army. Just chaos.
But this right here, this is the crucial turning point. These warriors were homeless, but they were not powerless. Think about it. Losing your home doesn't mean you've lost your skill, your strength. If anything, it makes you more focused, probably a lot more dangerous.
So this new reality, it created a brand new mission. Their goal wasn't to serve some far-off emperor anymore. No, it was about survival. It was about building something for themselves, a true stronghold for warriors. And you could really see the huge shift in their mindset here. They weren't interested in the old world of palaces and kingdoms anymore. That world, with its soft leadership, had failed them. What they needed now was a stronghold, a place built for one thing and one thing only, defense and survival. This was pure pragmatism, not pageant. Okay, so you've got this new mindset. What's the new rulebook? Well, Lagelu laid out a core philosophy, kind of like the blueprint for their new community. It was all built on 3 pillars: discipline, strength, and loyalty. And here was the #1 rule, the ultimate rule. Respect isn't given, it's not inherited, it's earned, in battle. Your fancy family name means absolutely nothing if you can't back it up with action. So, armed with this new warrior's code, they went looking for a new home. And this is where the seed of what we now know as Ibadan would finally be planted. They traveled south, getting away from the ruins of the old empire. And eventually, Lagelu and his warriors found it. They found the perfect spot. It was a place called Ibadan. So, why there? What was so special about this place? Well, it was a pure strategic choice. Ibadan was basically a natural fortress. You had hills all around, thick forests. It would be an absolute nightmare for any army trying to attack. This location was picked by a military commander. You can tell it wasn't picked by a king looking for a nice view. And it's really important to get this. This place wasn't Ibadan yet, not by a long shot. But this was the beginning.
This was the very first seed, a simple war camp that was destined to grow into something so much bigger.
And that leaves us with a really fascinating question, doesn't it? How does a simple war camp, a stronghold built just for survival, turn into the most feared city in the entire region? I think the answer's right there in that warrior DNA that Lagalu planted from day one. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway here. Sometimes the absolute harshest circumstances forge the strongest identities, and they can create a legacy that lasts for centuries.